Economic growth is defined as the long-term expansion of a country's productive potential. Also, having stable economic growth is one of the government's macroeconomic objectives and is measured in terms of real GDP. However, there is a difference between how it is measured in short-run terms and long-run terms. Short-term growth is measured by the annual percentage change in real national output. This is mainly driven by the level of aggregate demand, which is consumer spending, add investments, add government expenditure, add exports minus imports. However, it is also affected by shifts in short-run aggregate supply. Long-term growth is shown by an increase in trend or potential GDP, and this is illustrated by an outward shift in a country's long-run aggregate supply curve, or LRAS. The key drivers of growth are physical and capital stock, the size of active labour force, the quality of the labour within the economy, and particularly human capital, and the technological progresses within the economy. Innovation driving productivity improvements, such as higher GDP per hour worked, greatly increases the amount of economic growth. So what are the advantages of economic growth? Some of them are high living standards, such as an increase in real income per head of population. It also causes a decrease in unemployment. Growth stimulates more jobs within the economy. This helps new people as they try and enter the labour market. However, there are also disadvantages of economic growth. Some of these are the economic and social costs of a fast expanding economy. There's also the inflationary risks. If demand races ahead of aggregate supply, the scene is set for rising prices. Many fast-growing developing countries have seen high rates of inflation in recent years, a good example of which would be India. Working hours. Sometimes there are fears that a fast-growing economy places increasing demands on the hours that people work and can upset work-life balance. Structural changes. Although a growing economy will be creating more jobs, it also leads to structural changes in the pattern of jobs. Some industries will be in decline, whereas others will be expanding. Structural unemployment can rise, even though it appears that a country is growing. The labour force needs to be occupationally mobile. And finally, the environmental concerns. Fast growth within the economy can create negative externalities. For example, high levels of noise pollution and lower air quality arising from air pollution and road congestion. There are also increased consumption of demerit goods when economic growth occurs, which also greatly damages social welfare. It can also lead to a huge increase in household and industrial waste, which again creates external costs for society. Here are some examples of economic growth, taken from the BBC website. In this article, the Labour Party criticises UK businesses, accusing them of not thinking in the long terms and not having enough of a focus on economic growth. Here are some examples of graphs that you might see in the exam. The graph displayed at the moment shows trend, growth in red, and real GDP in blue. Real GDP is the actual growth of the economy. However, what governments would like to do is have stable economic growth. Therefore, they use monetary and fiscal policy to try and keep the blue curve as close to the red as possible. Another example of economic growth is an increase in the production possibility frontier, as shown in this graph. Also, Economic growth is extremely important for 25 mark questions. We have to remember too that in our increasingly interconnected, globalizing world, economic growth does not always happen in isolation. Events in one country and one region can have significant effect on growth prospects in another. Therefore, the amount of which fiscal and monetary policy the government might use to try and curb economic growth might not have that great an extent as we know this.